Hey, how you doing? Austin here. In this video, we're going to be talking about NIO. This is an update video for NIO. Just really want to hit some of the key things that are going on around them. We had a major stock purchase go down on Friday with NIO. Don't know the identity yet, but I want to talk about who I think that was or who it could have been. Yeah, it's kind of cool stuff. We got a lot of other things that I want to chat about around NIO. I want to talk about NIO from a competitive standpoint versus XPeng, government backing, how I think NIO is going to do long term, what I think their stock price is going to be in a year, 2 years. So today in this video, I really just want to kind of wrap up with some thoughts around them, looking into next week and see how it's going to go next week. We've got some real positive momentum. Stock had a really good week, and it looks like it's finally coming back, and we're looking good. You guys know I'm very bullish on NIO. I own this stock. It's one of my major EV holdings, and I'm looking forward to continuing to ride it for the next year or two plus. So I've got a page of notes here. I want to cover that. So we're going to get to that here in a minute. But before we do, I want to say that this video is for entertainment purposes only. Also, please consider subscribing and drop a like on this if you get value out of it. That helps the channel out, helps the video, and all that kind of stuff. So usually at this point, I would cut directly to the chart. But before we get to that, I've got a note here. I just want to talk to you about some things going on with NIO. So basically, it was kind of a slow official news week as it relates to NIO. There wasn't anything really major in the in the news that came out, but in tracking and looking at NIO, there was a very interesting play that happened on Friday. If you're not aware of this, there was a 1.2 million shares, a block of NIO bought stock. It was bought on Friday. It was bought for approximately at $39.57 was the cost. 1.2 million shares. It was a $48 million block of NIO that was bought. So let's speculate on who that was. Number one, was it Cathie Wood and ARK? Highly possible that it was. There's nothing official that's coming out yet. We're just speculating at this point in time. You may remember I've covered this in a previous NIO video. She has officially come out and said that she is looking at NIO as well as XPeng to add to her funds. Also on a side note, she did sell a little bit of her Tesla stock. Again, Tesla's always going to be a major hold for her as far as a major component of her portfolios. But it makes sense, guys, that she's looking at adding NIO and to a lesser extent XPeng, right? It absolutely makes sense. So we're going to wait and see if officially it's announced that was in fact ARK that made that acquisition of the 1.2 million shares on Friday. It may not have been. It could have been a major brokerage, a major fund, something of that nature. Absolutely could have been. They tend to buy in kind of bulk, kind of ranges like that. So it could have been them, but we hopefully will find out in the near future. If it was Cathie, if it was ARK, obviously they're going to make that public. That will be a very major news release, right? So that was one big thing that happened last week. So I want to talk about my opinion of NIO as it relates to the Chinese government and the overall competitive landscape over there. So and I've said this in previous videos, but I want to reiterate this. So here's what the bottom line. I firmly believe that NIO is the winner as it relates to the major Chinese EV company that the government gets behind and is really pushing forward, right? So it's just clear, right? It's just clear that the major, and I've said this in previous videos a bunch of times, that the major contracts have gone to NIO. The deal with Sinopec, the major infrastructure deals are going to NIO. And NIO seems to be hands down the one that the government has picked to be the dominant EV player from a overall Chinese perspective, right? And obviously China being the world's largest marketplace for cars and obviously subsequently EV, that bodes extremely well. And that's something that I firmly believe that is happening as well. So you've got that in play. And so NIO is going to continue to benefit from that in public and not public scenarios, right? I guarantee you there's tax implications, there's a laundry list of things that the government is helping NIO with, especially as it relates to the inside of China, right? Now, when you kind of turn your eyes outward, look at everything else NIO is doing. They're quickly moving into Europe. There is speculation, already discussion, that they will eventually be coming to the United States. That will happen. We just don't really know when, right? And so that's happening as well. And NIO is just winning the war. So as it relates to that Chinese EV market, right? And again, I got notes here. I want to make sure I cover everything. As far as a stock price prediction for NIO, I firmly still stand by the fact, and I've said this before, I keep saying it because I do a ton of NIO videos for you guys. I think that this is a $65 to $70 stock. We are going to go look at the chart here in a minute. We absolutely seem to have hit our support resistant level, bottom support, and now we're bouncing back up. If you look at the last 4 months or so, the overall EV market and the EV major players have really been in a downward trend for the last 3.5 months approximately. And we'll look at that on the chart. But I'm assuming you know this, that most major corrections happen over about a 3 to 4 month period. That's just kind of how it happens. And so I think that we are absolutely seem to be coming out of that, and we're moving back in the right direction. So to finish with what my predictions are, I think this is $100+ stock by the end of 2022. It just, NIO is firing on all cylinders, guys. Their battery as a service model, selling the cars cheaper than their competitors because the cars don't have batteries in them, which is reducing the threshold, the barrier rather, for consumers to buy their products. They're just doing everything right. We may have some road bumps later in the year, third quarter, fourth quarter, because of semiconductor chip shortages. We know that could be a possibility. NIO has talked about this. So those could be some road bumps ahead of us. But I think that this is just a smooth selling scenario here. And so to reiterate, before we go look at the chart, we had a major acquisition of 1.2 million shares on Friday. $48 million plus. Who did that? Hopefully, potentially, it was Kathy and ARK. That would be awesome if it was. She's publicly come out and said that she's looking at them, which lends itself to that. If it wasn't her and her organization, that they will be making, they'll be moving into NIO pretty soon. And guys, it makes sense for her to pick up the next one or two big EV players, NIO, XPeng, things like that, and add them to the portfolio. It just makes sense, right? Okay. I talked about battery as a service. I think that that's a fundamental key differentiator for NIO moving forward. And, it's there's a lot of things going on. So let's go take a look real quickly at the chart. So if we look at a 5-day chart here, we really, from the 5-day, we kind of had some lows back around April 19th. But again, we've got this really nice upward pattern, except for this guy right here. This was a little bit of a red day here, but if we hadn't have had that, we would have had a really nice movement up. If you look at kind of the 1 month scenario, similar deal. 6 months, just a better look. Let's look at that. If you look at 6 months, really what you look here is that if you kind of look at what's happened, remember I mentioned that 3 to 4 month window. If you look at kind of from the peak here all the way to basically right in here, you've got February to April. There's your big EV market correction that happened really there, where you lost 43%. If you add in like Tesla, and let's add in XPEV, let's add in XPeng real quickly, you can kind of look and see similar deal, right? Where's that February, kind of that February peak right here? And look, I can't, Google won't let me grab it, but what, remember right before I added the other guys, remember I started here on February 9th and I clicked over and showed you right in this valley, there was about a 43% loss there. Well, look, every single major player in the market followed the exact same trend lines here, okay? My point to you is, number one, all these EV manufacturers, I call it shadowing. The stocks shadow each other, okay? Secondly, they all dealt with the exact same correction. The overall EV marketplace has been in a pretty massive correction for the last 3.5 months or so. And so what happened there was you had rising bond prices, you had a lot of institutional and money coming out of EV, out of the high growth sector, and moving into more traditional, just investments, things of that nature. I think again that money is coming back now and starting to come back coming back into high growth, especially EV in that scenario. And so, but again, I always show this to kind of give you a really good visual in that they're all reacting very, very, very similarly. So let's turn off XPeng and turn off Tesla. And again, just remember that right there. There's your 43%. That's a major market correction that really happened. Excuse me, it goes all the way from February to April. And so from April up, you can see we're up 15% just in the last 8 days, give or take. Okay, so as long as we can kind of continue this trend line and move forward, we've really kind of broken through our resistant level at that $38 range approximately, and now we are absolutely moving up, and it just looks really, really good for us on a go forward basis. We got a lot of things moving. I definitely think there's going to be some major news coming out this week. Just some major news. Maybe they'll be announcing, who did this 1.2 million block share purchase, $48 million worth. That's funds have bought in at that level before. It could have been Kathy. We'll see, right? Okay, so let's wrap up with a few final thoughts. So you guys know I did this a little differently. Usually I just do an intro. I cut to my screen capture and we talk, and then I do a final thought. The whole first part of this video was kind of final thoughts in a way. It was just me kind of telling you guys overall some facts about this company and some facts about what's going on. Before I do leave you though, I wrote down some stuff I didn't actually talk about earlier. As far as the forward-looking calculations go for NIO, as far as earnings per share, we're looking at maybe 16 cents earnings per share, which and then in 2023, 80 to 95 cents EPS. That, and by the way, they're profitable here in that scenario. 2024. $1 EPS earnings per share. Again, I'm excited about the future, right? I really am. And the other thing I would talk about is I think that NIO is going to do more than just cars. If you look at what they're doing, and I covered this in a video. It was a video I did maybe a week ago, or I've forgotten, but the exact one. But I covered this in the fact that NIO is almost kind of like Apple. And they're applying kind of the Apple methodology to cars. It's a lifestyle brand scenario and how they're approaching it. They've got their NIO houses. They've got they've got their own app. It is a lifestyle choice and a lifestyle identification scenario for people who are buying these vehicles. I mean, look at Apple. I have an iPhone. I'm recording this on a huge 27-inch iMac Pro. I have a freaking Apple notebook. And by the way, this one's 2 or 3 years old. I'm gonna get a new one. My point is that I have completely bought into the Apple ecosphere, if you will. Is that right? Ecosphere? I don't know, but you get my point. NIO's doing the same thing with cars, and my point of making this and bringing you back and ending on this note is I think that NIO is not just going to be in the car market. I think that they will be doing other things. Maybe it's 2, 3, 4 years down the road, but it will not surprise me when NIO comes out and says, okay, hey, here's this thing. you loved our car. Here's this. Here you go. Buy this because you love the NIO brand, right? I mean, that's entirely possible. And the way that NIO is building this lifestyle brand company that is started with the car. Okay, and so I'm going to end on that note. Hope you enjoyed this video. Again, it was a little bit different format, but I had a lot of notes and things. I wanted to really wrap up and talk about NIO and the business, this big stock acquisition purchase. I wanted to talk about the fact that I think that big government is backing NIO, the Chinese government. I want to talk about, I think the funds are starting to buy back in. I think Kathy is about to either she pulled a trigger on Friday, they were the one that bought, or they're about to come in. I think that's going to happen. And I just, I love what these guys are doing. That's me looking at all my notes to make sure I covered everything I wanted to cover for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry for rambling, but hopefully you got value out of it and you'll stick around. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. Drop a like if you got value out of this. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm here for you, and I want to help you make more money in the stock market. That's all I care about. So see you in the next video. Take care. Bye, guys.